this would be a lovely occasion to have a picnic on Hove Lawns, on the border between Brighton and Hove, at the Peace Statue, to celebrate everything the EU has done for us over the last 40 years.
Europe was founded on hope. Hope for continuing peace. Hope for greater cooperation. Hope for justice. Like many of you, I was heartbroken on the 24th of June last year when I discovered a minority of our own countrymen and women had turned their backs on Europe. Turned their backs on greater trade, cooperation, our very own human rights, and more importantly, peace. We are heartbroken that our freedoms, prosperity and rights are now to be negotiated like bargaining chips. For what and why? We have our human rights before the law. Heartbroken that our great intercontinental trade, education and scientific research initiatives may be unable to continue. Heartbroken that the peace, human rights and freedoms our forefathers fought for are to be denied to our future generations who may not be able to live, work, be educated, found families as we have done throughout this great continent. We have come together, we have marched in London, in Brussels, in Lewis, and now we stand here in Brighton.
Well done, guys. Well done. Thank you. Just a shame the weather's been so hot.
This time last year was really devastating, and on this very day last year I went to my school's, my kids' speech day at school, and as the teachers marched in, they played the Ode to Joy. And there were tears in my eyes, and my son said to me, "Dad, you're really that upset?" I said, "Yeah, I really am that upset. I really am. It really feels, it's really personal for me." So I'm here personally, but also as chair of Sanctuary on Sea, which is about being more welcoming, specifically to refugees, asylum seekers, people who are here not because they choose to be, but because they have to be, because of who they are. And so I was talking to a teacher the other day who works in a school in Moulscombe, and she said that she has kids there who are experiencing racial violence daily, who are getting an Iraqi girl whose parents were getting excrement through the door, but also a Polish child who was getting the same treatment. And so people are sort of lumped together. And it's interesting, when you go around Europe, other European countries don't see EU nationals as migrants at all. They're not classed in that same category. And it's very interesting that in Britain we do that.
Spanish client was denied their benefits because of a gap of 10 days between the end of her job and claiming benefits. These kind of things, and they keep on doing these things. So it's very, very important also that we are clear that we want rights for everybody who has lived here, either legally or ordinarily. Enough they prove they have been living here, and we want the European Court of Justice or some equivalent body to supervise, to adjudicate on disputes on this. And actually, personally, I hope that Brexit collapses and it would solve all the problems.
I was born in Belfast in 1987. Into a country that was definitely divided, into a country that it wasn't safe to go out, it wasn't safe to socialise, into a country that I thought it was incredibly normal that the army would ask me to get off my booster seat so that they could flip it upside down and check that I wasn't sitting on a homemade device. When I was in secondary school, in the first years of secondary school, I went to an EU-funded peace and reconciliation class where Protestants and Catholics mixed together, and where we concentrated on sport, on books, on absolutely everything that we had in common rather than what divided us. Once you get to know somebody, you cannot hate what you know. You can only hate what you don't know and what everybody else gets to whip up. You can only hate prejudice. As soon as you meet the individual people, that hate disappears completely. So I really admire the European Union. I admire the work they did in Northern Ireland. I admire the work they've done bringing the Baltic states away from authoritarian rule towards democracy. I do not take for granted the fact but when we look over at our beautiful coastline, we don't fear enemy warships from France descending on us. We know that our neighbours are peaceful, and that is not a given. That was hard work, that was dedication, and that was working together and trusting each other. So as we go into these negotiations on Monday, look for the people that are extending the hand of friendship and tell them, yes, that is what we want to see. We are still here. The 48% plus are still here. We are standing up for everyone. We are standing up for a brighter future. Let's keep going. Let's keep fighting. Thank you.